mid-sized newspaper doesn't mean you can't think big. We have award-winning editors that will share insights on how to produce winning content in a shrinking newsroom. I'm Jim Reeser, sports editor of the Citizen's Voice of Wilkes-Barre, and I'll be the moderator. Joining me are Corey Geiger of the Altoona Mirror. He's the Penn State beat writer and Altoona Curley beat writer. According to staff, won top 10 honors for special section and Sunday section, correct?
Thank you.
Eric Hall of the Beaver County Times. Eric and his staff won the APSC Triple Crown, so congratulations on that wonderful honor. And finally, Chris Imperiali, editor of the Scranton Times Tribune. He's the Mid-Atlantic chairman. Chris and staff won 6 top 10s at the APSC. We're going to talk about a variety of topics that will be hopefully interest you guys. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to raise your hand. I want to kind of keep a good conversation going. We'll start off with Sunday sections. All 4 of our papers earned APSC honors this year for our Sunday sections. At the Citizen's Voice, we focus a lot of time and attention on our Sunday section. We do a lot of planning and emphasis for that with Sunday in mind because of it being a larger readership. For the panel here, just what are some things that you guys do to focus on your Sunday section?
We're fortunate where we have a lot of space. A lot of newspapers aren't in the boat we are. We're broadsheet, we're about 16 pages every Sunday with very few ads. So we pour a lot of our resources into our Sunday section. Special pages, mostly local content. We'll go 10 pages, 12 pages some Sundays, all local content. And really try and screw down on the wires if we can. Our readers have come to become familiar with that, and they enjoy it.
Eric, I know you were saying that a lot of your staff is in management, getting the people the freedom to work on projects. How are you able to pull that off with a smaller staff?
Well, as I was just telling Chris, we have a big freelancer budget, which is very helpful. I think a few years ago, our company decided to do this community journalism type initiative and open up a lot of money for freelancers, which gives us some leeway with our 4 full-time staffers to be able to put together some longer-term, some more creative projects and things like that. And it just, typically Sunday is where they end up, because if there is still one day of the week where people will sit down and read English, and I think it's Sunday.
How much, from a design standpoint, are you guys focusing on that throughout the week and in terms of the design aspect of things?
It used to be we'd start thinking about Sunday early in the week, or a week ahead even. Now it's changed a lot. There's a lot of times we're into Thursday and Friday, and we're starting to work on the layout and design of our Sunday enterprise. You're dividing up a lot of tasks because, as we were talking, you're trying to drive social media content, so you have to divert some of your resources to that, a lot of your resources to that. So the old model of having someone strictly dedicated to your Sunday content from a production standpoint doesn't really work so much anymore. I'll find myself a lot of the times, like I said, on Friday night after deadline, pouring in some time into those Sunday pages.
Chris, I know you guys do a lot with the specialty pages like the Rail Riders Weekly, the minor league team. How important are those pages to your section?
Rail Riders, if you're not familiar, they're the AAA baseball team of the Yankees. They're based in Scranton. Throughout the season, we'll do a full Sunday page on the team and the minor league organization. I think it's very specific to the baseball fans. I don't think a large portion of the readership is interested in that, but we do have a large portion who are Yankees fans. The page is important, but to steer away from the page a little bit, the online content, we have a blog that we do for the Rail Riders, and the traffic is really phenomenal, and a lot of it comes from outside of our readership. It's in the New York market, people who want to know what's going on with the minor league team. So, like I'm explaining, there's a balance that you have to find there, because you want to put the resources into that, but you also have to put the resources into the plant product too, and I mean, we all struggle with that. I think, but I think it's important to our readers that we give them that.
Corey, how about with Penn State? How much of that is your focus on Sundays?
We love football season. We have a 4-page Penn State Extra that we generally cram 7, 8, 9 stories in. So Penn State season kind of takes care of itself in terms of content. Where we struggle, we're extremely hyper-local. We cover a ton of high schools. We have a staff of 5. Like you guys, we have a great freelance budget. So we cover a ton of games. We cover 14 high school football games on a Friday. For a paper our size, you know, that's hard to do. But where that comes into the other side is we centerpiece a lot of games on Sundays. And that is not ideal. It's never really been ideal for me. You'd like to have some type of enterprise or takeout feature that you could do on a Sunday, but frankly, with all of the wrestling championships, the track and field champ, I mean, there's always some kind of championship or big event going on a Saturday. So, and then, you know, we're 12 pages, so most of our guys have to be in the office to do pages as well. So I wish we could do more enterprise things on Sundays, but our challenge, I think, as a small paper is to try to identify, I'd like to say 4 to 6, sometimes it's 2 to 3 Sundays a year where we can really gear up. We've got a perfect storm of things. The Super Bowl this year was one. We did about a 150-inch piece on a handful of former guys from our area who have been dealing with CTE and concussion type of things. So that was in conjunction with the Super Bowl. But other than those handful of Sundays, it's kind of luck sometimes if we find a giant takeout piece that we can really sink our teeth into, and we'll know a few weeks in advance.
How much, voice multitasking is so important. Our reporters are asked to do pages. How much of that, you know, I think that'd be good for any students here, is we often say you want to learn as many skills as possible. It's great to be able to write, it's great to be able to do social media, but if you have that page design, when I'm looking for a potential employee, if I see someone that has InDesign experience, I say, you know, hey, that's great, this person might have an advantage because they have multiple skill sets. How about with your departments, how much of that is are you guys required to reporters to do multitasking as well?
We have a universal desk, so, which is different than when I started. I did a lot of pagination, 10 years ago. We do nothing now. Well, I do some, but most of it is the universal desk. So, in terms of a reporter multitasking, it's more social media, it's more video. We are very heavy into video. We have a number of video shows, sports related. We do some documentary style videos. I think, frankly, that's more important right now, is to have some kind of on-camera and behind-the-camera skills rather than pagination skills, but of course, that's coming from a universal desk. So.
I think that's true because we have a lot of heavy lifting to paginate, like I mentioned, a 16-page section, but we have several reporters who don't do any paginating at all, and I'm perfectly fine with that because they're investing their time and energy into writing their blogs, doing their social media, their interaction with the readers. So I only have one person on the staff who is strictly a paginator and doesn't do anything else. And everyone else is either doing a little bit of everything or really sinking their teeth into writing, blogging, Twitter, Snapchat, things like that to really interact with their readers.
And we're kind of the opposite. We have 5 guys, we all do pages. We have 3 part-timers, they do pages. Everybody does pages. It's just kind of the reality, I think, of a smaller paper. Now, the universal desk is probably the future for most smaller papers, but
it certainly has its drawbacks as well.
yeah, right. I mean, we're fortunate. All 5 of our guys have been at our place for more than 10 years, so there's a lot of institutional knowledge there. And we all know what each other's strengths are, but it's nothing for any of our guys to go in and do 5 pages on a given night while taking 10 high school basketball games. But the flip side of it is we also have a couple people, and I'm one, during the Curve and Penn State season, I don't have to be in there a lot, and we have a high school sports guy that is phenomenal, and he doesn't really do a whole lot of pages during mostly football and basketball season, but his time of year is more in the summer. So we do have a little bit of a division like that. But I would say if you're in college, and this has kind of been one of my my pet peeves for colleges for a long time. I'm not sure that colleges do a very good job at all of making sure kids can paginate when they leave. I think there's so much focus on writing and everything and editing, but in today's world, I think if you can paginate, you make yourself a tremendously valuable component.
Corey, we were talking about the Altoona Curve section this year. Last year, you guys were able to have the benefit of going to spring training to able to produce that section. This year, you weren't able to go. Talk about some of the challenges of trying to put together a preview section for one of your main items.
Yeah, we've won an APSC 12 out of the last 13 years. We do a curve tab, it's 42 pages, and you flip it, and the other half is pirates. So we've done this for a long time. I've always been real proud of what we do. We have a lot of enterprise and unique content in it, not a lot of player features. And I've gone down to spring training for 20 years. It's just something that we've always done. Like Scranton, our baseball team is an enormous part of our city. It's AA, we're 100 miles from Pittsburgh, and we have a very strong, passionate minor league fan base. So we devote a lot of space to it, but we had layoffs a month before spring training this year, and our company couldn't justify spending the money that it would take. So what we had to do this year was it was more pirates, which is easier content to get than it was our minor league team, which typically takes a trip to Florida to get a lot of that content one-on-one. And it's frustrating, but it's also the reality. I mean, I'd like to think that we can talk about the realities of the business here to some degree today, and that's that travel budgets, time, manpower, I mean, these things are not coming back. So we have to learn ways to produce high-quality content without necessarily always having the best access. And I know the access thing is here later on, but we tried to do a lot of stuff over the phone. We do get a lot of Pirates people in Altoona over the off season, so we're able to generate content that way. But I know with our preseason, it's almost impossible to preview a minor league team on the phone when you really don't know a lot of the people who are there. But that's one of our biggest issues, just clearly size and trying to cover everything that you possibly can cover with a diminishing staff.
I just want to respectfully disagree with Corey about how colleges are preparing kids. I found out, and whether it's Penn State, Michigan, Maryland, Temple, you name it, the kids are coming out more prepared than ever before to step into whatever size newspaper job. And I would say that schools would waste their time dealing with copy editing and pagination because copy desks are going away. And if there's too much time devoted at the college level, I'd rather see it devoted, and we are seeing quite a bit devoted to social media and what we're doing now as newspapers. So I just wanted to, it was bugging me, so I wanted to stop and disagree. And I don't know, John, if you would agree with.
Well, you know, ideally, I'd love to have them have both. You know, a little bit of design experience, and I mean, the students are incredibly adept at social media on their own, but not necessarily in a professional context. So it's more directing that than, you know, teaching them one-on-one. I mean, we recently had a situation where, you know, I was having them do social media from the game, and I'm basically having to learn Snapchat chat so I can read their stuff. So, I mean, that's the situation.
Yeah, I mean, I've always found that I can train someone with pagination in a week or so. And we're using more template pages than ever before. So.
I might interject. I actually graduated from college 2 years ago. Arizona State Walter Grade School of Journalism, and I took a design course. It was one credit. You know, I didn't spend a lot of time on it, but I kind of had suspected if I were going to be trying to do the newspaper beat writer thing, that would be helpful. I also found that I didn't use it at all my first year and a half until I got out here covering Penn State football, but I also do help out with agate and some design and things like that when in the off season when I am helping out with those desk hours. But I was taught by a great instructor in about a week and a half, but I think it's been really valuable to our brand and our company, kind of knowing the digital side of things and being someone who, I guess, when you're young, editors kind of expect you to have the energy and the push for really causing an impact digitally, especially coming from right out of college. But I found it helpful that I had someone that, because we're working in a smaller market and we do have a lot of high schools, like Corey was saying, I found it helpful that someone was able to teach that to me, but I also see our manpower decreasing a lot on that desk and pushing a lot more towards digital and picking up those other stories, freelance or with wires, or maybe one or two copy desk editors. But I graduated recently, so I thought maybe that would be some valuable input.
We've done a lot of repositioning in my paper in the last few years to direct people into more digital training opportunities. Like I said, we have one person who's a dedicated paginator, and the rest of our staff, I have a 9-person staff, is doing everything else. So we have gotten away from that, but what it does is it increases the workload for pagination on other people, because we're still putting out those sections, but we're trying to focus on other areas. And we'll see students come out, and they don't have those skills as far as pagination, but some of them have really good design skills, whether that's illustration or whatever, and we find that to be very helpful too. And then, we'll teach them the pagination stuff.
From the, we're talking about the social media skills, how much is being done at your paper social media wise? I know Chris, the blogs are very important to the Times Tribune, and a lot of readership on those, a lot of traffic.
We have, yeah, we do, I guess 4 mainly. Penn State football, college football has become year-round now, and it used to be you could count on college football from August through December, and maybe if you had a bowl game beyond that, but it's year-round, and our Penn State traffic ebbs and flows as the interest does. In recruiting season, it's phenomenal, because our beat guy does a great job of keeping our readers informed of recruits. Our high school sports blog, that's our leading blog. We do 6,000 to 7,000 a week on that. That might not seem like a lot, but for us it is, because a lot of our market is they're still the newspaper people. It's an elderly market. We have a hard time reaching out to the young kids, but we found we do a lot of stuff with the high school and college kids who follow the blogs. We try and do unique stuff on there. We're not reposting things that are in a story. We do our athlete of the week, and the blog entry for that is completely different for what's in print. And I think you have to fish for different kind of information. Just stuff that's interesting.
And we do a lot of the same, try to do a lot of the same things, but I think we push hard into video. We do, especially with scholastic sports, football, we do 3 to 4 video shows a week. We do post-game video. We do, one-off special stories, just scholastic, sometimes.
Reporters are shooting the video too, right?
Well, we have one, our most recent hire, which is 2 years ago. He was hired specifically because of his video work in college. So he does both. He does writing, he does stand up in front, he can do editing and things like that behind the camera as well.
Have you been able to monetize it? Is there a spot?
Yes, actually. Not as much as we would like.
Well, anything to start.
Well, absolutely. It's a difficult dance you do with advertising. From my standpoint, they like the big score and want to sell the whole package, where we're trying to say you have to piece it out and sell, a pre-roll here and a mention there and this.
It takes some time.
It takes more time, but I think there's more money available that way than trying. Because if you don't sell the big score, then you get nothing.
We sell basically, from what I understand, for all of our videos, whether it's sports or Pen of the Week, which they do And that's a big thing.
Oh,
I
that's
can't
good.
compete with Pet of the Week. It's unbelievable, the numbers that they.
I want to path it to sports, but they want to.
But they bundle it, so like the pre-roll ad on that video for Goober, or whatever the Pet of the Week is the same for our high school football game of the week, so. I really wish they would start focusing on the things that we really do well and find advertisers who fit into them to sponsor, our highlight game of the week, athlete of the week, whatever that may be, Rail Rider specific, Penn State. But our ad department really, I think they just, they try and sell what they can and get what they can out of it, so.
Our paper takes, I just want to interject one thing, our paper takes much more of an old-fashioned view of the thing. We're owned by the Nutting chain, all of their papers are behind a paywall. We tend to think we focus on the one thing that we do best, and that's the newspaper. That is the print product that shows up in the morning. We have a website, all of our chains have a website. They're pretty good. You get a paragraph or two, and the design is nice, but you have to use the paywall to get any full stories. And they are stringent about it, and in a lot of ways it prevents us from being able to compete on our things, that people outside of our region would be interested in, such as Penn State football or the Altoona Curve. But they are steadfast in their belief that they are going to protect the print product and try to decrease subscription and circulation numbers as long as they possibly can by not stretching us so thin that we're all doing everything that maybe we aren't necessarily the best equipped to do. So maybe that makes us different than everybody else here, but our focus is 99.9% the print product.
I think we're so, go ahead, I'm sorry.
How much is your payroll?
I want to say it's like $19 a month, and there's a yearly thing. I want to say maybe $50 a year.
It also depends, I work for the same company, a lot of it, there's like 4 different tiers of subscriber. If you buy the print edition, you get online access. If you buy the online version, you get a different level. We have problems, we were just talking about 10 minutes ago, the login for the paywall and our own office computers is slow to be nice. But it's different for each thing. And I just like to add one of the things we struggle with digitally is trying to pick spots. A routine mid-season game today does not need bells and whistles, but come playoff time in another month, maybe not.
Do you guys find you have a lot of digital-only subscribers?
We have a lot of the people who subscribe to the print who verify their online, which allows them to do both, but I don't think we have a large number of.
I believe a lot of our digital subscribers are the 1980s version of the mail subscribers, the retirees in Florida who want to keep up, so they have to buy the paywall.
But it has slowed our subscription reduction significantly. A lot of papers in this country have dropped 40, 50% since the recession. We've dropped about 30% in 20 years. So from that standpoint, it's been a somewhat effective strategy.
I would think, after seeing the first panel, I would think that smaller papers, would then, for you guys, the use of the new social media tools that she talked about would be really very important to you for promoting your work in social media. So I want to ask each of you, how do you promote your work? And try to answer it 2 ways. Number one is, the traditional method is to post a story, a link to the story, and say, read the story, it's a great story, on Twitter or Facebook. So is that how you do it? Or is there another way that you word it, or you try to get creative with it or anything? And the other thing is, what is your theory of how this works for getting your work read?
Like Corey was mentioning, we do try and protect our print product. But our circulation numbers have gone down, and at the same time, we've seen our online numbers go up. So that's challenging to try and do both. Grow one audience, protect another, and you have limited resources. Online-wise, we do. We'll tweet news out, we'll break news, we'll follow it up with a link to a story, we'll try and drive readers that way. It works, you know, but you still have to find different ways. We know our audience is, our online, our digital audience, we know that's where the young eyes are. We had a freshman college baseball player from our area die the other day in a motorcycle accident. He was a big high school player, very popular at his school, very popular in the league. We did a storify of people doing online condolences on Twitter. It's the most hit thing we've had in 2016 so far. Things like that. Any way you can engage your audience with specific content that you're creating. We didn't create anything that was unique. We just showed people what people were saying and put it all together in one thing. And you know, you have to look for those opportunities any way you can. Our high school guys are constantly interacting with the audience. One of our high school guys shows up at a game, and I'm telling you, everybody in the gym knows who he is, and they want to see whether or not he's going to tweet a picture of the fan section they're in. Just things like that. Quick videos. We use this platform, Tout, 10, 15-second video. We file 5 or 6 of those, link them in a game story, refer to it from print, put it up online, tweet that we're there. It's just, you're constantly having to do it, reminding people that you're important, that they should be checking out who's doing what on your Twitter accounts, on your blogs, wherever it may be.
Some of our bigger projects will do social media run-up to not just promotion, but there are photo galleries, there are graphics and things like that. It's social media only. And I think not only does it further the brand, it also works to get people interested in what's coming up. We're doing actually currently a series on our 50 greatest sports athletes. This was an advertising brainchild, somewhat, to some degree, that we're now on day 5 and releasing 5 at a time online and on social media, on Facebook. So we're building a crescendo, hopefully, to when the entire project comes out in a week and a half, that, you know, hopefully that is something that will work.
I would say our best avenue for social media is live tweeting during games. We cover a lot of games, and we have a lot of people who, because maybe high school games don't draw great crowds, we can always get the score from our reporters who are doing a lot of that. So that's one thing I think that we're really strong at, covering a game that maybe there's only 75 people that will have a lot of tweets with our high school stuff, or even, you know, our minor league baseball team. One of our challenges with the paywall is, especially with Penn State football, there's so much competition, and there are tremendous reporters who cover Penn State football. Jordan, Donnie Collins, Greg Pickle, Johnny in the back. I mean, there are a lot of there. You can get fantastic Penn State football coverage in a lot of different ways. We used to be maybe one of the leading papers, because our managing editor has covered them for nearly 40 years. He's on the senior beat writer. I have a radio show here on ESPN, so I have had a pretty good. So we got a lot of national links, ESPN, Sports Center appearances, a lot of that, because we were pretty strong on social media. But you know, when we have the paywall, it put a barrier up on the things that our content could reach. So again, that's just one of the realities that we have to deal with the paywall.
I think for us at The Voice, it's Wilkes-Barre is a 2-newspaper town. I believe it's the smallest 2-newspaper town in the country to this day. And for us, we use it, social media, Twitter, Facebook, as an opportunity to break news, post stories to links. But for my theory is, I just want to brand. I just want to get our name out there. I want to interact with people and hope that they'll, you know, click on the stories or whatever, and or buy our paper someday. I just want to. It's an interaction tool for us. Friday nights with high school football, a lot of interaction with the players after the games. We'll do like a big nights thing where we you know, throw shout outs to the you know, the kid who had 4 touchdowns, or the kid who threw for 200, 300 yards, whatever it may be. And when you sit there and you see all the favorites and the retweets of it, I like that, because they're looking at what we're doing, and I feel that if they're looking at us, they may not be looking at our competition. So from that standpoint, that's Twitter is a huge tool for us from that end of things.
And whether you're the largest circulation category or the smallest, still that relationship with the reader is what's most important. If you're the editor of the biggest newspaper, you're still getting letters to the editor, you're getting email, people who want to talk to a reporter, or you know, they're reading your columnist and they're sending him or calling him. Same thing at the small paper. And to build that relationship, that's what we try and do. Continually try and do that. Find new people who we're not reaching and find out how we can reach them, and make them understand that we have something of value to share with them. And that's a big challenge a lot of times, because we do it very well, but how can we continue to grow that?
Okay.
Great, thanks. I'm a professor here at Penn State, and I used to be a journalist for more than 10 years. Now I'm doing research about journalism. Listen to you guys that we're talking about, and we're focused on two issues. One is engages the fan base, or you call it as readership or viewership. And another thing is monetize and what's going on. So my question here is, like, how much research you have done based on this? We understand that there is involved a lot of news decision making, but I'm a big fan of like news decision making should be based on data analyzing and research. Take a look at BuzzFeed. Every article they posted on their website is based on research. Take a look at NPR today's NPR One. As long as it puts there, that's been tested by 4,000, 5,000 readers there. That works there. They'll put it there. Okay, even the story format, storyline, how are you going to tell the story? NPR did not test it there. I think, and you know, a lot of people will say journalism dead. I think, and you know, that's wrong, and we consume more journalism than any time before. But the problem is the business model are not working, and we do not know how to engage them. Even we do not know a typical reader for our news organizations and contents there. We were very good at producing contents there, but we're not like very good at to understand or even invest a little bit in the business model and how to monetize that when they're how to engage the audiences there. So my question here is to everybody there: how much research we have done about like our readers, our experiments, sort of engaging them, monetize our stuff.
We did one 5 years ago that happened to be for my own master's project. The paper let me use the website to distribute it. It didn't get the best feedback on it. I mean, they didn't get the most numbers on it, but what we did learn was a lot of the people that were using our website were using it for the same stuff that we knew they were reading from the print paper: obituaries, police news, garbage. Our sports stuff was down the line a little bit, but those that were into it were really into it. One of the problems we've got is we don't really face any competition. We're not a two-newspaper town. We're more like out to we're same size town, same lack of competition. But we have some like free competition websites by enthusiasts who basically sit by the police scanner. Kitchen Fire in Newberry, that's worth a post. And sometimes our struggle is, well, people think this place is more on top of it because every time they hear a fire truck, they go put a post up. We wait for, well, let's be honest, a little bit more death and destruction. So we look like we're getting beat on the small stories to try and get the big story. Yeah, that's fair, isn't it, John? That's something we live with.
Our company is in the process of being, they have hired a consultant to do some market study work. It's still out. I know all the results are not in yet. But from the preliminary study, there's nothing that's really surprising from it. I think the successful papers know their audience very well, know what they want. And you bring up a good point, because I think you really have to. If you think they want oranges and you're selling them apples, it's not going to be. I keep talking about that relationship, and once you're able to find out, or you should know by now, what they want.
And I think with digital subscriptions, we find out more and more about our readership every day. That's why we drive people toward digital subscriptions, and not only what they're reading, but what they're buying. So I do think in that aspect, we are doing more research. We know what they're reading through Omniture and Chart, tools like that, the analytics. But I think with digital subscriptions, we get more information about readers than ever before. Not just what they're reading, but also what ads they're looking at, things like that. So, and then I think you're going to find you have two distinct audiences with your print product and your digital. I get more phone calls about TV listings on page 2 from people 70 or over than anything I ever would have been.
Seconded.
So, what channel is this on? When you're a big city, we have 6 surrounding counties, and every county has their own Verizon listing, Comcast listing, Direct TV listing. So, that's why I get more phone calls from the print product, would be the older readership, and digitally, obviously Ravens and Warriors, just anything else would be possible. Does that make sense?
Just from a reporter standpoint, I know a lot of people are talking from the perspective of editors and these big picture things, but on a smaller level, I found that social media is really helpful for getting the feedback of what hits the hardest and what kind of people are liking, disliking about certain types of coverage. And for example, at our paper, recruiting had never been hit really hard football-wise. And so I used a lot of Omniture analytics to help me when I came in to start covering recruiting a lot heavier, because that was the thing that was blowing up, because people were really interested. It's got a niche base, and we aren't behind a strict paywall, or if at all. And so, the sites that require subscriptions, et cetera, obviously they're the foundation of recruiting coverage. But I found it very helpful to provide recruiting coverage, because you don't have to pay a subscription to read our stuff, and because recruits are very public with their commitments, and they're very public with answering the phone and giving you a quote or two, it's been a lot easier to kind of delve into that market, and I think that's really responded well to our readers and really ramped up our digital numbers for that.
Ron, I can't remember what I was going to say, but there is plenty of software out there, the chart beats, that those that you can put on your web pages to see what people are reading, how long they're reading, and really kind of move your web page, experiment with it, move the stuff around, play with the people that are on there with you. I mean, we do that every day at MLB.com. And we obviously have good traffic, but if something isn't moving, we'll put it in a different position to see if that makes it, we feel it's going to move, it should move. We're going to put it in a better place and see if it does. If it doesn't react, right, we take it right back and move it. But that is going to be better than any other research you can do. I mean, we're still having, I've been out of the business, the newspaper business for 8 years, but I'm hearing the same things we talked about in the first 20 years I was in APSE. So, I mean, obviously, when you talk about the research, we have the tools to get further information, and we need to be using those and then make our decisions based on that.
I would like to say, a lot of research can really help us duplicate our success. We were working with, I'm working with some companies that are Bloomberg and Hearst, and mostly of us are TBA, and their biggest problems, they said, is how to duplicate, good success some people got here, and maybe company-wide, and we can use that one there, or how to avoid those people. And we invested so much money, got nothing here. And nowadays, every decision were basically scratched head by their managers there. They were thinking, based on my 20 years experience, this should work. Like you said there, is it work or not there. And I was thinking about journalism is really not like some other industry. Another industry is always even FPR. They have a lot of people who are sort of lined up to help them. We were trying to figure out everything by ourselves. there. That's how it is there. And we can send a reporter to go to a war zone, to go to cover earthquakes there, spend a lot of money, but I will not spend several $1,000s to test and what we're doing about the business model.
But I think that's absolutely right. I mean, we're in an era of extreme cuts industry-wide, and it's a lot easier to cut consulting fees than it is to cut a person. From a human moral, humanitarian standpoint, you can easily make that cut. I would say we have industry-wide newspapers do a poor job of figuring out how to respond to what readers want today. If they did a good job, you would all be following a certain model. Look at the music industry. You had a disruptive force in Napster and Kazaa, LimeWire, and they collectively pooled their resources, their thought, and they came up with a business model that allowed them to thrive in this new era. And here, we have, Altoona and the Yagan chain with the paywall. We have a soft paywall. The walls, there is no best practice because we don't understand readers and how the web works at all.
Right, you haven't adjusted. And you're all journalists. You're not newspaper people, you're journalists. Okay, the newspaper people, the archaic distribution system you're unfortunately plagued with. But you're doing journalism. You're reaching to the reader however you can get to them, whether it's on their front porch or it's on the computer or it's in the mobile system. And it's sad, sitting here and listening to saying you're tied to that dollar that goes into the newspaper because that's the easiest dollar for them to get, and they haven't figured out how to get the other dollar. And when you were talking about the subscription-based model, I mean you're probably tapped on your subscription base. The traffic has to be grown, and that's what they were trying to say in the first one, using all of the social media tools and everything else that's available out there. You have to get eyeballs, and the eyeballs will then draw in advertisers. I mean, we've seen
Will they? I mean, that's the ultimate. Will they? How do we know that they will? You can say that they, on a small newspaper scale.
Well, you saw USA. No, but see, the thing is, and this was my problem with advertising people in my newspaper, is they're always going for the big kill. Okay? They're not going for the 5,000 here, the 10,000 there. They're going for, I don't even know what newspaper to get now. 50, is that a big one now? 50 or 100,000, is that a big one? That's a big one? Yeah. So, there are a lot of 5,000s out there. I mean, you were talking about your video and separating it out. Yes. That's what needs to be done. If you can get 5,000 for this show and somebody sees that, and you go 5,000 for another show. What's that?
Can you come talk to our advertising department?
I mean, those of you who don't know me, I was president of APSE in 2006, 2007. My convention in St. Louis was all about bringing business to the sports section. And I can see that it has done nothing.
Yeah, it was a colossal failure.
Actually, I did have some people say it worked. But yeah, overall, it's hard because their livelihood is based on what dollars they get because they're probably working commission.
Sure.
I guarantee it's more now than it was in the days when I was, doing sports editing. So, but I think you've got to get the eyeballs. And just keep figuring out the ways to get the eyeball. The research, I would invest. And it doesn't cost a lot of money for Chartbeat. It doesn't cost a lot of money for these software tools that help. You'll be amazed because it's right in front of your eyes. You'll see that 25 people are on that right now. You'll see that 1,500 are on that right now. And you can move and play and see it go right, taking that knowledge to your editors and taking that knowledge to your advertisers is what's going to, raise the level of.
I really like to follow, and his point here is like, based on my observation, newspaper industry really delayed to react on the market. We were thinking those people will pick up newspaper when they got like 30, 40, 50, like their parents or like their grandparents. Not happened here. We lost our viewership, we lost for good. And we were also have another, thinking, and I'm not sure this is right or wrong. ASPE is the first 10 years or so, a lot of people waiting for other people to explore business model. You guys figure out some things here, I'll just follow you. Actually, like moments ago, you guys were saying, Tuna Mural will be totally different from some other small newspaper. Talking about this, viewership, readership may be similar, but talking about the business model could be quite far away, difference there. Those newspapers sort of close around Penn State could end up to be Penn State football big thing. But someone who are too far away from this one here, that's not a big deal at all. You have to figure out something else there. Don't wait and other people to explore this kind of business model for you, and you know the business model better than anyone else.
Radio has taken the lower level advertiser from you guys. They pay a lot less.
But I work in radio too, and the radio industry is hurting very badly as well, so that might be enough.
Yeah, maybe in the market, but I mean, overall, there's radio everywhere, so, and newspapers are falling off. I don't see the radio falling off.
But I can tell you that salaries in radio are really, really low.
Two different things.
Okay, but.
Two different things.
And the hook from John over here, so I'd love to continue discussion, but we have to get ready for the next panel. If anybody wants to talk to us later, we'll be here all day, so I want to thank Chris for their time.